Most of the people I end up hanging out with are, like the kids who work for me or tattoo artists and stuff like that. And the closest friend that I have who's an artist is a Norwegian artist, Galerie Thaddaeus Ropac. I have artists that I'm friendly with, but he's the only artist I could say is a friend of mine. All the other ones keep on seeming to die, Stephen Perino and Dash Snow. Try to avoid the social end of art and art making as much as possible, especially since in New York it's really a pretty toxic thing. I grew up in upstate New York, outside of Ithaca. I didn't really have a background that had anything to do with fine arts or anything like that. I was involved with punk rock and hardcore, putting on shows, playing in bands, putting out records, making show flyers, things like that, t-shirt designs. That's what I thought about in terms of making art, that it was something it's part of a lived experience. You grow up in a small town, you're bored with your circumstances, you have the option of taking on as personal responsibility. If I'm really bored with my surroundings, then I should go out and I should do something about that. Almost without exception, everything that's in any show I make by hand. So either welding, woodworking, plastic casting, building a foundry in here, electrician's work, drawing, painting, any number of things. It sounds kind of, tragic, heroic, whatever, but I think it has something to do with an idea of authenticity. That's a hugely important part of it. The idea of signature materiality, a sculptor being identified with a specific material like Sarah and lead, or Robert Smithson and salt. That period of American late 60s, post-minimal kind of sculptural process is a period that I'm really, really almost wildly obsessive about. Robert Smithson was taking salt from a mine that was an actively functioning mine. When I was growing up, this mine no longer worked, and just like the rest of upstate New York, there's no longer any industry. Everybody associates him with this idea of entropy drawn from the natural world, and my own personal history is related to social entropy, the collapse of the mine's no longer there, there's no more industry there. There's a relationship to personal biography, social entropy, art history. There are all these different kind of things that branch out from one particular material usage. So it's not like here's a material, here's why I use it, but it ends up encompassing all these things that I find really interesting. Space sort of informs whatever the show's ultimately going to be, and what materials are going to be used, and how I'm going to approach it. But they're definitely not site-specific in any way, shape, or form. There's this great line about designers think in size and artists think in scale. There's something about when you get into a space and realizing 3 inches, a little over here, transforms the entire thing and makes that space in between a pregnant space, or it can be a dull and just void space, and it can be an issue of just 3 inches. That's when it becomes something that's active and alive. This used to be so much better as a studio. There was nothing here. Nothing. Yeah, it's a designated motorcycle and bowling alley area. Seriously, there's 2 bowling alleys. There's my studio is a designated motorcycle area. This is fucking terrible. I hate it.